bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your ship bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking.
Hello, I'm Cliff Oxford with the Oxford Center, and I'm here today with one of our members, B. Ray from Charleston. We're glad to have you in Atlanta.
Great.
And you have such an interesting background. Why don't you tell our members where'd you go to college?
Emory University, right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
You went to Emory, good school. Then after Emory, tell us about what you did all the way through your previous job that you had before Advantage.
Oh gosh, do we have time for all that?
Yeah, just
Right after Emory, I actually worked for Emory Morrisberger and launched a software escrow business here called Fort Knox Secured Data. So I ended up spending about 8 years in that career where we helped people. We were the neutral party who held onto the source code of software in case the software developer defaulted on support or went out of business. But the short story to that is I partnered with entrepreneurs in the tech space as a way of handling that software escrow. And so I ended up working in 3 different companies in that space, the largest of which was Data Securities International. And when I was 27, I was their CEO in San Francisco.
And that was in San Francisco. You go out to San Francisco and you start working for this large data security company. And then you got accepted to Harvard, then you kind of got accepted as CEO. Take us through that.
Well, I did get it. I went to that job as the West Coast sales person. And I was doing okay there, or well, such that I was, different things were great. And I did at that time get accepted to Harvard Business School. I wasn't expecting to get accepted. Harvard's one that you have to apply.
They all say that. Well, I didn't think I'd get it.
Well, do you know what Delta Dash is?
Yes.
Yeah, so I sent the 9 p.m. application after skiing in Utah. Never expected it. This was the getting it in so that the next year I would get accepted.
And they let you. They said yes the first year.
So maybe I've told you this story, but the chairman of the board, John Duff, the chairman of the board of Data Securities International, which is now owned by Iron Mountain, but was a private company at the time, came to me and he said, B, congratulations, you've been accepted to Harvard Business School. It's a really exclusive club. And I said, well, yes, thank you very much. I'm excited, bought the sweatshirt. And then he said, I would like to invite you to a more exclusive club. And I thought, well, what's that, John? And that's the club of those who turned down Harvard Business School. So
Not many in that club.
Well, I didn't expect to accept his invitation, but a week went by, I talked to the whole board, and I did turn down Harvard Business School in order to be the CEO of Data Securities International.
Now, then you wound up in Savannah?
So at Harvard, you get to take a language class for free, and I like to get my value out of things. So I took German across the river with all of these whippersnapper 18-year-olds who had had 8 years of German. And at first they thought, oh, graduate student, she'll be so smart. And then they thought, oh my gosh, she's an idiot. And indeed, I flunked. And I flunked that course so badly that the professor tapped me on the shoulder and said, even if you get 100 on the exam, you will fail the course. No need to show up for the exam. So long story there is I stopped my foot, came home and said, honey, we're moving to Germany. I need to learn German. It was 1999. I was in high tech. I had a Harvard degree. I got 3 job offers in Munich, and we went and I took one of them with Siemens Business Services.
You ran an entrepreneur group in Savannah.
In Savannah. So Hilton Head is just about an hour, a little bit less commute to Savannah, and I ran the Creative Coast, which is an economic development nonprofit for the purpose of supporting usually idea stage entrepreneurs. So we did a ton of events and pitch competitions and a weekly Kauffman Foundation event. We did the TEDx. I hosted a little bit of a television show as a way of giving highlight for entrepreneurs, podcast.
Okay, all of that. What was the the part that was most valuable? Where was, in all those segments of your career, and you've had a beautiful career, doing wonderful things at Advantage Books and Forbes Books, what was the thing where you got the highest ROI on?
Now, you're not gonna like my answer, but I have a very definite, specific answer, and I ask myself that question a lot, because one of the things I didn't say is, when I first came back to Hilton Head, when I was looking for a real city, I started a company, Source Harbor, and so I was able to take a little bit of money, I grew this company, we had a terrible lawsuit, and we survived, and ended up having clients in 14 different countries. So I exited and took 6 years off to be a stay-at-home mom, and so in that 14 years, that 6 years is included, and then 4 or 5 for the company is included, and then the 3 with the nonprofit. But when I got to the Creative Coast and something happened great, and someone said, wow, thank you, or this event was great, or your advice was wonderful, or whatever, I always wondered, what did I do that was most valuable? What bucket piece of the jungle gym, to use Sheryl Sandberg, was my experience that helped me to have the skills to do that thing? And the answer was being a mom.
I love that answer. Actually, we find that to be pretty commonplace.
Okay.
You work across all industries. You work across all companies. So what a great setup.
Well, what I love at Advantage that's different than the Creative Coast is I've moved away from that idea stage, which is so exciting, and it's all filled with possibility, but it's also filled with lack of reality sometimes, and I spend a lot of my time saying, your baby is ugly. So the people we work with now with Forbes Books or Advantage, they are running 2 million to 25 million or more companies. They're talking with real problems. And then I'm not talking with them for 30 minutes. I'm locking myself in a room for 8 hours, cell phones off, or going over the business strategy. Why would you want to publish a book? What would that actually do for you? Who are you serving? What's your target? And so it comes very quickly to, we're not, fixing the grammar on a sentence. We're really building up your authority and figuring out your business, and that is a thrill. And then the level of person I get to speak with is an extra thrill there. So I love that.
Okay. Well, again, this is Cliff Oxford of the Oxford Center. We appreciate Bea from Charleston.
Thank you.
A great career and much, much more ahead. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.